Hey, friends and family. Hey, loved ones. Hey, fools. How are you doing? It's Thursday, August 12th, 2021. And just, yeah, looking at what's past, what's done, what I'm moving forward, what I'm moving towards, and just my continuity in this play practice, expanding and contracting and integrating and rearranging, resetting my space, restructuring. Yeah, good old integration and returning to source. And I was just pondering integration, like the integration phases, and it seems like, yeah, it's constant. It's constant integration with that like expansion and opening up and receiving and that receptivity. And then, yeah, that contraction and that rest and that integration, that play practice. And so sometimes it has like lots of challenges. Like life helps us in certain ways, it gives us what we need, so that we can get that experience and put that wisdom into practice and apply the wisdom that we have learned and understand it in new ways. Yeah, through like our relationships and the ways that we show up in them and play in them and play through them. So it's kind of really interesting this week. It has been a wild ride. And I am feeling tired today, but I did want to, yeah, show up and share what's been going on in my ride, my personal ride through this collective ride. Yeah. And just some of the, yeah, the funny things, and we'll see what wants to be shared today, because there is a lot. And I have, yeah, gone through a certain stage of my cleanup process, and I'm just about wrapping that up. It's just funny how it reflects, yeah, how the outer reflects the inner and the inner reflects the outer. And as within, so without, and as above, so below, and all those things. So yeah, I've found a lot of gems and a lot of wisdom nuggets and treasures this week. And of course it has, of course, stirred things up inside of me. Things that I was just kind of allowing them to be there for now, but yeah, they're stirred up again. And so just kind of learning how to work with that and work through that and play with that. And it's just yeah, certain things emerging in funny, playful, trickster ways. So I thank the trickster and the adversary for helping me get out of my own way. And Uranus was shaking things up like nothing else this week. And it is like just embracing that, like just going with those rhythms and energies, because if I go against it, I'll just make it harder for myself. And just like, yeah, letting go this week and letting go of rigidities, and actually seeing where certain rigidities, where I wasn't aware that I was being rigid, and old ego control strategies. And so it's just like remembering my reading and some of the messages that I've received this week about being present and preparing myself and meeting myself and not taking myself so seriously and laughing at myself, to lighten it up and to be able to perceive certain situations and possibilities in ways that I haven't been able to before, or open up to seeing them in ways that I have not before. So yeah, I've been willing to do that, and it's just, yeah, kind of funny how it all just comes into being when we're open to receiving, yeah, for our highest good and our highest, fullest healing. So with that said, let's take a minute. Yeah, I did find so many things. I think maybe the next month or so I'll share just a couple things that I found every time, and we'll see how that goes. There is some definite things that I wanted to share today that did, yeah, they were kind of ironic in certain ways, and it did go along with what I'm clearing and cleansing within myself. and what I'm integrating and making the room and the space for to strengthen and cultivate and nurture and appreciate. Yeah, nourish and cultivate. So yeah, I will start with, oh gosh, I'm just loving the astrology and learning about astrology right now. And one of the things that I did find, oh my gosh, and the house feels so great. Oh, it's just coming together in just beautiful ways, and it feels so great. I love it. So we're pretty much turning some of this house upside down, just turn it all around. And yeah, that's just divine timing. And yeah, it just really is so great to actually nest and organically, authentically, intuitively reset our whole entire space. So yeah, all about the home and preparing for the winter and the harvest and attending to all these things. And we do have like a lot of preparations. Yeah, for the next couple months there's exciting things happening, but and there is a lot of joy, and there's a lot of creative, yeah, just creative play, creativity that goes into like creating some of these things and showing up and participating. So it has been really fun and playful, but also kind of feeling the tension in certain ways and maybe a little bit of stress, because it's like certain ways that we prefer them to be, or we prefer life to be, or we'd prefer like an event to be, but like, or we'd prefer each other or ourselves to be, but just seeing sometimes how we can cock block ourselves with those same preferences and rigidities, ego rigidities, and unquestioned like preferences, prejudices, programs, beliefs, all those things, identities, images, and falsities. Yeah, just looking at some of those things. But yeah, a lot of what I'm looking into and within myself, it's so great. I just like found all these confirmations looking into this one book yesterday, and it was such a treat for me. It's called Astrology Alive by Barbara Schermer, and it's New Directions in Astrology, Experiential Astrology, Astrodrama, and the Healing Arts. And she's inspired by C.J. Jung, Carl Jung, and yeah, there's just amazing little nuggets in here that really messages that have been coming in like through other channels and other speakers and my own inner streams. So it was really great. I'll have to share like a few of these nuggets. But yeah, first I'll just start from a few days ago where I was at and what I was working through, because it is like a process of letting go, and it's my part of my continuation of my cleanup process, inner and outer. And yeah, cleaning it up. Thanks, Virgo. Yeah. So definitely feels like tension in the air. We're at a crossroads, so it's like crossroads energy, and I'm feeling it doubly so because of the location that I live in. It is exactly that. It is like that energetic crossroads feeling, because on one side of the house there's a tranquil pond with a beautiful view of the mountains and all these trees and all this nature that there's some of these wild spaces. But then on the other side of the house there's like this highway that is really busy, and always traffic on it. And then all of that, like that other, like the opposite side of that energy, like there's the wild, and then there's this the domesticated, or the constructed, I guess, kind of energy. So it's interesting, although like the pond, it is not a natural pond, it was constructed, but it it is like attended to, in harmonious, natural ways. And I can see that with the diversity of the animals like that live here and share the space. Anyways, but it is so funny. There's a lot of accidents right behind our house because it is that crossroads energy. And I feel like sometimes if we're not paying attention, or if we're going against ourselves, or we're in our own way, or resisting something, or we're stuck in our rigidities, and then that's when things get shook loose, or like certain accidents happen sometimes to snap us out of it. I don't know. It's just interesting. Like, there are very, very frequent accidents because of that crossroads energy. Like, it's like kind of coming up a hill a little bit, and then the energy kind of changes like on one side. It's really interesting. Like, just observing that. And so this relates because there was like a trailer that jackknifed the other day, and then there's accidents that happen like at least once a week, it seems. So I'm always hearing people honk at each other too, and like near misses, and I actually like send out blessings like be aware and take care of yourself and be mindful, and it's all right, peace to you, and all that. Like, you guys are all right. But this is kind of funny. So crossroads energy, mischief and the trickster energy, joyful and playful, a bit devious, clever, creative, spunky, and edgy. So have felt like that edginess this week. And I do feel like it has a lot to do with the, just with the changes in the poles, and the Schumann resonance has been off the charts, spiking crazy, and just all this new light coming in we haven't really ever experienced or received in these planes, within our memory, like our collective memory. So it is interesting. It's an interesting time. So shaking things loose from our rigid patterns, or unconscious, inattentive, unseen, unacknowledged energies, dynamics, choices, and old ways of operating, seeing, perceiving, participating, and cooperating. Floods, fires, accidents, earthquakes, breaking down, breaking through, breaking open, breaking free. Uranus shaking things loose, LOL, and the sun shining brightly and illuminating truth. Clearing distortions and revealing the truth. Prepare and be open to receiving my own breakthroughs. My own full breakthroughs. Revelations and cleared ground, center. Remember to ground. Relax into love and be present. Open and be still, and know that I am God, listening to myself, and just following my inner nudges, inner knowing, guidance, and soul's callings, whispers of the heart and creative spirit, heart-based knowings, soul, heart, body knowing, and practicing GSF behavior and mindset, changing my attitude, God's source frequency, tapped into my source, tapped into the source, my own frequency or frequencies, my own signature, my authenticity, my responsibility to let and allow spirit to flow through me and we, knowing when to speak and when to listen. Be present, let go and surrender all desires and agendas, attachments, fears. Let go of those fears. Trust that all of it is held right here. Gratitude and faith-filled, bright faith and cheer. Encouragement, courage and strength, all right here. Cheers. Slow down and breathe. Be prepared to clear. Breathe deep and rooted in Mother's heart right here. Yes, and inviting joy. Dragon and the cosmic egg, blue rose and ankh. White mirror, four seasons, bright colors, jewels, treasures, precious gems, inner wealth, self-worth and confidence, self-love and radiance, well-being and empowerment, bright faith, clarity, generosity, kindness, honesty, transparency, joy and receptivity, resiliency, love is who we are. Durga Kali, Saraswati, triple goddess energy, Christos, Sophia, wisdom and initiations, activations, ascension portals, catalysts for transformation, healing, union, growth, and change. So 1, 2, 3, one step at a time, enjoy the ride, let go, be open, present, alive, creative, playful, willing, faithful, trusting, receptive, engaged, guided, led, and directed, connected, for being, forgiving, protected, supported, held, beloved. Yes, self-contained, self-existing, self-perpetuating, self-regenerating, self-realized, self-honoring, remembering, awakening, clearing distortions and old energies that are no longer aligned with my or thy divine frequencies, my divine essence, and my totality. Letting go of psychic toxicities, projections, emotional garbage, and untrue stories, beliefs, and ego rigidities. Control strategies that reinforce, prop up, and leak energy through unclaimed power and misdirected energy of the lower mind and emotional pain body. Collective personal mythologies, overlaid, inherited, and implanted beliefs, lies, identities, imprintings, preconceived notions, and the chains of mental slavery, mind control programs, multi-generational conditioning, inverted ways of operating through forked tongues and double speak, propaganda, deceit, and inverted realities, confusion, manipulation, exploitation, and ego flattery, domination and control, false light strategies, AD behavior. Letting go of what others may think or may choose to see, think, believe, perceive, reject, or receive. Letting go of their projections, their pain, their stories, their shame, their upside down ways of being, operating, functioning, dysfunctioning. Letting go of all that's not mine to judge, condemn, fix, save, rescue, or carry. Letting go of what they need. Letting go of how they see me and we, letting go of their judgments and blame, letting go of the outcome and what I'd like to see, letting go of the past, letting go to be free, letting go of agendas and old histories, letting go of false images and survival avoidance strategies, letting go of the suffering, lack, poverty stories, letting go of the old ways, letting go, I am free, surrendering, suspending, observing, receiving, thanking, blessing, praying, releasing. Gratitude, compassion, joy, and humility. Deep understanding and true empathy for the hells that we're going through as we die to the old, as we shed our old skin and identities too, as we die to relinquish the false ego's chokehold, as we open to love and remember what's true, as we go through the birth canal, as we're born to our truth, being born into new life, new love, and whole truth, a new understanding of me and we, of me, we, and you, new ways of being and living our truth. Embodying fully, it has always been you. All your love through all of you. Letting go, letting go, letting go. Just be here with you. All right. So, yeah. Looking at some of these things that I feel like I had to maybe resolve before I started showing up in larger ways and in larger roles, but realizing actually I don't have to be ready or I don't have to be perfect, like to help and to share love and to offer wisdom. And yeah, just getting out of my own way there. And just being willing to try new things in whole new ways, to play and be the magic in me. Yeah, embracing the magic, yeah, and me and we. And letting go of what I think it's supposed to be. Yeah. So, there was, yeah, some interesting pop quizzes that I got to play through a couple days ago. And it has to do with, preparing myself to meet myself, to see certain things that I hadn't seen before, and my own strategies of control. And I totally was willing to set that pride aside. And it was, interesting. And it was easier. It was way easier than it has been in the past to just kind of detach and observe and witness and, like, just be curious about it. And so, it was kind of fun the way that it happened. And even though it wasn't like something that I liked very much, like, I don't know, I don't really like strong displays of emotion, especially like when it's anger or when it's hostility. Yeah, that's really hard for me. So I can see sometimes like where I can get rigid and how I can be disallowing of like that expression. Not necessarily like if it's directed at me, but like if it's just someone expressing, and maybe someone who's close to me, that I don't like to see that side of them sometimes. And like it makes me uncomfortable, or it makes me feel like I'm out of control, or I'm not in control, or yeah, some of those things. It's because of like past trauma of, yeah, not being able to control the situation when I was a younger child. Yeah, when my mom would have kind of temper tantrums and fits of rage. And that was dangerous, you know? Like, I was like, definitely time to protect myself or defend myself in certain ways when that rage was being dumped all over the place and misdirected. Like, yeah, maybe well-intentioned, but very misdirected. And then we weren't allowed to express the anger that we felt without being abused or punished or isolated or withheld from. Like, yeah, so those are some interesting patterns to look into and see like where I kind of have overcompensated by taking the higher road sometimes, like, and kind of going into a cold, detached place of non-feeling sometimes, and maybe just cutting off that natural empathy in a certain way to protect myself from what I felt like an attack of some kind. Yeah. So we'll see what else wants to be said about that. Yeah. I knew like certain things were going to be coming up for me because it's just getting those like, okay, yeah, this is, yeah, this is coming. And so sometimes, yeah, I do pick up on those things and I just kind of like, not like brace myself, but like kind of just surrender. Okay, like this is what I, get to receive right now. And allow to play out, and just like do my best to ground, center and ground, and be as clear as I can with my responses, with my responsibility, and not expecting myself to be perfect or to have it all figured out, and just to be humble, get into that space of, okay, I don't know, and embracing the full, and really actually wanting to see things from a different perspective that I haven't seen before, and an integral, yeah, perspective, and an integral, yeah, way to make peace and to create that harmony. And so could feel like, yeah, the tension in the air the other day, and it was just like, oh, things are getting stirred up, not just for me, but yeah, for my husband as well in certain ways. And so, yeah, getting ready for like a wedding, I think we're feeling like some of the tension, but like it hasn't been like very stressful, but it's just a little bit tense because of certain things that need to be attended to, and it feels like we're kind of running out of time, although we're not. It's just approaching closer, and yeah, there's certain things that we get to like show up for. And so it's just interesting how it unfolds. And what can I share about that? Oh yeah, so it was, yeah, part of the cleanup process. And it's making me kind of, yeah, think about skeletons in the closet and the things that are not aligned, and that's like just shining the light on those old habits and patterns that aren't aligned with our intentions and our will, and this new way, this new true whole way of being. So yeah, I was just kind of looking at things like there was like just a little bit of a misunderstanding that came up the other day, and it seemed to be like not that big of a deal on the surface, but what was beneath the surface was actually like what wanted to be seen behind, like, yeah, this little power struggle play. It was like really a cry, like to make the room and the space. Yeah, to understand or to see what the underlying pain, yeah, sourced from and what it was about. And yeah, just to clear some distortions and be able to see more clearly. And so it was just kind of interesting, like how I got to see how, yeah, my own response to my husband's like legitimate like feelings of anger or frustration, like what he was frustrated about, and how sometimes like I can totally take it personally because I feel like I'm being told I'm wrong. And then how like in certain ways, maybe, yeah, like unconsciously, how I could steer the conversation in order to paint myself in a I guess more flattering way or superior way in certain ways. Yeah. So let me see what I wrote and see if see if I can articulate this. And so, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's not always comfortable for me to witness, but damn, it's not. Yeah, it's not pleasing for him. Yeah, and it's not pleasing. And so, yeah, it's an old toxic learned way of misdirecting pent-up frustrations and ego survival strategies. So maybe it's necessary to express and release the disease and to see like these old patterns being played, to transform them, to change them. And dang, I can see where I played the asshole, making assumptions and being rigid, wanting to control the conversation and steer it in my favor and deflect his anger, minimize his feelings and his right to feel his anger. Interesting anyway to observe in hindsight and playing back in my mind. So what exactly played out and how was it? And how was it not mine? It was my creation or my co-creation. And that isn't quite aligned, yeah, with my will and my intentions. So we're being asked to improve or open our communication and our hearts and minds, and surrender being right. Be curious, detach, observe, witness, listen, surrender, control. Listen, surrender the control, and see the truth unfold. Justice, just be at peace within thee. Just be at peace right here within the totality of me, and let go of those rigidities and witness and see, yeah, what exactly is not being said, yeah, through what is being said here. Yeah, so there's a lot that I can see if I just get to listen, if I can listen to the story without taking it personally or agreeing to emotional garbage that isn't true for me, but having that compassion and that empathy to receive and to see what love is asking and asking me to see. So that was interesting. So surrender and suspend, witness, let go, allow, and be free. Trust my power and accountability, owning our power and responsibilities, the ability to be at peace and respond in a mindful, authentic, integral way. Effortless action, inspired wu wei. Integration, re-education, letting go of my preferred, comfortable, artificial strategies and ways of being in favor of creating whole new, true, full ways. Making the room and making the space to digest and consider, appreciate, allow all this to exist, to digest and experience all of life's ways. So that was alligator medicine helping me to integrate. And I actually did get to see what that message was about Gator, about considering all the angles and the possibilities before making my move. And it was just really interesting. So just had like some kind of, like just a little, it was like not my favorite kind of a confrontation, but it was like actually something to help us improve our communication. And it was like on both sides, like, yes, we both have our parts to play. And so it was interesting. And so I am grateful. And I was like watching this whole thing play out and seeing it, like, and doing my best not to judge and condemn it. And yeah, actually being able to detach from it and still be present and see, yeah, the whole thing and how perfect it really was. And I was just like, even though it wasn't my favorite thing and it's not my preference, for things to be how, but they are necessary to, vent and allow that dis-ease to be expressed and released. And so it was like an opportunity to say, yes, okay, I'm willing to digest like this unpleasant experience, like, because I know like what it really is. Like it's for like alchemy and for like transforming these old ways and these old patterns, these old learned ways of being and these old strategies. And so it was like really illuminating, really nice actually to be able to see. And even though like some of it like stung a little bit, like it was like okay, it was really okay, like because I knew like it was just like part of the death of the ego, like the ego's need to be right and to defend itself and all that, and I knew I could just let that go and be all right. And so like what's behind like some of these stories and just seeing into that. And so to digest and consider, appreciate all of life's ways, the joy and the pain, grief, sorrow, and shame, the fear and the terror, and all the suffering, acceptance, repentance, remembrance, forgiveness, empathy, mercy, compassion, joy, and hospitality, amazing grace and the freedom to be, allowance, acceptance, our full right to be, choices, agreements, intentions, covenants, vows, promises, and contracts, focus, direction, surrender, reception, trust, invite love to be, love always. Meeting myself, love always. Light, love, innocence, patience, faith, strength, humility, mercy, understanding, willingness, grace. Courage, resilience, kindness, generosity, devotion, discernment, cooperation. Partnership, friendship, loveship, play. And love at play. So interesting pattern interruptions yesterday, and observing, detaching, considering, and being willing to be curious and allow it to be. Like I knew like that I didn't need to fix it, and it wasn't something that I needed to fix, and it wasn't something that I needed to like project like any blame or like condemn myself for not like knowing or being perfect, and like seeing my old ways that I compensate for when I'm uncomfortable, when I feel uncomfortable or out of control or not in control. So staying curious and staying open and being willing, like, and also like knowing, like seeing that like it was like a wound that activated another wound, and just understanding that. So some emotional reactions, ego strategies, and unconscious ways of operating at play, making assumptions and defensive agendas for me to see, recognize, neutralize, alchemize, and change. Own, be accountable for, acknowledge, allow, see, feel, and release. Relinquish control of and and that need to reinforce the preferred or familiar strategies, the conditioning, the learned behavior, patternings, and imprintings. So navigation through creative play and curiosity, open-hearted willingness, a willingness to see, observe, detach, witness, breathe, and begin again. So, that was really great, like, to be able to see, where I can own my own accountability, like in co-creating, like, some of these old ways that don't create exactly, what's in alignment now with where we're going. So, like, don't have to get mad at myself and mad at the situation, or even mad at my husband, or, we don't have to get mad at each other, even just like, oh, well, we're all right. This is coming up because this is something that is ready to be transformed or just kind of let go of, surrendered. So freeing up the space to create and establish these new patterns that are in alignment and that are in harmony and in resonance with holistic ways and the truth of that wholeness that we are, and that connection, those connections that we have through all we are. So is there anything else that wants to be said about that? Because that was interesting. We'll see if anything else does. So Oh my gosh. This freshening, cleaning, clearing, rearranging, it really was such a productive day, playing musical house and freeing up space, transforming the place. Spiritual douching, attending, and appreciating to grow and love, live, learn, thrive, create, shelter, be cared for, nurtured, held, supported, nourished, share with each other and ourselves, yeah, and all we love. So much love, beauty, and appreciation for all the abundance and space to grow in, expand, and become in. A beautiful sanctuary and temple of our love, creativity, fertility, livelihood, and abilities. Warm, loving, fun, free, happy, joyful home. And so all this goes back to some of my boards that I created a couple months ago, and I can see, like, it's so funny just having it in my space, like, and now, like, seeing everything, like, that has unfolded in the last few months from just a vision and a dream, and seeing it come into being, manifested, yeah, through, like, this cooperation and through this willingness to show up and receive, to be. Yeah. So I found some gems in Astrology Alive, and I found, yeah, a lot of different interesting books and things. Yeah. So there were questions to reflect on, and I flipped open to chapter 9. So I loved what I read about ritual and memory. Ritual, magic, alchemy, and astrology rests on the principle that man is the microcosm of the universe at large. Man is the great miracle whose mind is divine, of like nature with the star governors of the universe. And that was taken from Giordano Bruno from the 1560s, from the Renaissance. Yeah. The alchemists were pursuing what is, in essence, the art of changing consciousness at will. Turning lead into gold means transmuting Saturn or lead, or that energy, that unconscious energy, into pure solar gold consciousness. As above, so below reflects the understanding that behind all external phenomena lies a totality, one interconnected, interdependent whole, which is sensitive and responsive to the movements of its parts, of all its parts. We recognize that the world is a symbol whose ordering is meaningful only as it represents a deeper, more profound aspect of our consciousness. The visual universe is, to some extent at least, a projection of the human psyche that is perceiving it. We can know the forces within, and they can be called forth. And that is just bam. I'll take that, and I like them apples and my applesauce, bitch. So just the humor, yeah, in all of this. So how awesome was that? Yes, ma'am. So very awesome for me to receive. And at the beginning of the chapter is a beautiful and affirming quote about our animal companions and our brothers, sisters, and teachers. From 1904, a Pawnee chief named Letakots. Yeah, I'm not sure how to say that, but it's Letakots. Lesa. So in the beginning of all things, wisdom and knowledge were with the animals. For Tirawa, the one above, did not speak directly to man. He sent certain animals to tell man that he showed himself through the beasts. To tell men that he showed himself through the beasts, and that from them, and from the stars and the sun and the moon, men should learn. When a man sought to know how he should live, he went into solitude and cried until, in vision, some animal brought wisdom to him. It was Tirawa, in truth, who sent his message through the animal. The greatest need of man is to fulfill the patterns of his being symbolically. If he does not, disaster follows. And this was a direct disciple of the Yogananda Kriya yoga lineage, and Shelley, Shellyi. So those are some of the gems and nuggets that I found when I first flipped through it. Like, those were like in the first couple minutes of opening that book. And it makes me wonder, because there were some things mentioned about the art of memory and Renaissance memory systems and memory theater and the magical art of memory. So I'm going to be looking into those things. So I also found something on counterbalancing Pluto, because like there are some really interesting things to look at right now as far as Uranus goes, and Neptune and Pluto. Yeah, some of those things are very, very interesting right now, like with the cycles of growth that we're going through, those death and rebirth cycles. So counterbalancing Pluto, so Pluto destroys only to recreate. Acknowledge the need for fundamental change. So form, dispersion, chaos, transformation, reformation, all substance, all energy, all being, a cycle in the endless chain of death and rebirth. And the hand of Pluto guides every turn of the wheel. Every ego is born and will die, only to be born again, even within the boundaries of a single lifetime. And that's Barbara Schermer from Astrology Alive. Yeah, so I thought that was super interesting as well, because that's what I've been contemplating. Like, yeah, like I've been looking at the ego deaths and the deaths that my own ego deaths, the deaths like that I've experienced in my own life, in my own relationships, and then like the rebirth and the renewal. So it's so super interesting to look at all these things right now. And then there was another chapter that I opened to, and it was about growing in intuition. That was chapter 6. And there were some amazing exercises in that chapter that I'll probably talk about in the next little while. And also a synchronicity, a sync wink about stuff that's happening with our left eye. So the eye of the soul and the window of truth is the left eye. And I've been getting those messages a lot lately. Like, yeah, to focus on the left eye. Yeah, something to pay attention to, the left eye and what we can tune into and perceive. There will be changes that we will perceive, and we are all growing in our psychic abilities to feel more deeply and to be more present and loving and creative through that connection of love, and to perceive like true unity. Yeah, the inner workings of the parts of the whole thing, interesting indeed. And what was the other thing? Oh yeah, that was packed full of wisdom, gems, nuggets, and mother loads. Something about the left and the right brain opening up to see and balancing that equilibrium, that inner equilibrium. Yeah. So wow, I just may read that book from cover to cover. It is so super fascinating. And she's inspired by Jung's work and has all these truth bombs, tools, exercises, questions, suggestions, and techniques. Very cool indeed. Love in the wonderful world of astrology and all the correspondences, archetypes, myths, energies, qualities, stories, and how it relates to our hero's journey of integrating and coming home to ourselves. There was also this part on Leo in the hero's journey. So yay, that's my jam, right? Right there, right here, just being here, preparing, participating, and being right here. Thinking about authenticity and originality and the fake, modified, plastic, hypnotized, prepackaged consumption of program bullshit and lies. Seeing through real lies with real unclouded eyes, the inner and the outer, self-realized, divinely aligned, ordered, structured, God-realized. Thinking about the social engineering, indoctrination, and brainwashing, controlled artificial cycles, generational trauma, and inverted, fragmented, fear-lack-based operating systems, conditioning, forced learning, cultish operating systems, coercion, forced guilt, blame, shame, victim, oppressor mentalities, the shadow, predator's game, toying with emotions, puppets on their strings, unaware they're being manipulated and exploited through their feelings, fears, perceptions, and dreams, the lower ego, flattery, and idealistic fantasy, the martyr savior, please save me, and the boogeyman scapegoat, the enemy. Divided competition, opposition, jealousy, pride, greed, and envy, systems of domination and control, slavery and tyranny, the killing of the mind, menticide, suppression of the soul's wellspring. And so, yeah, that was one thing that, yeah, was looking into. That was one thing, yeah, ritual. Let's see. I lost my train. We'll see what wants to be said about that. Because it was connected to another thing that came up for me. But looking at these things in a more detached way, where I'm not so triggered and carried away through my own wounds and my own pain body. And seeing how I can transform it in creative ways. And yeah, it brings me back to a couple months ago where I had this creative nudge to make something, to like kind of symbolically express that for myself and maybe share it with others as well. And it was like the scapegoat. Yeah, because I'm tired of playing that role of the scapegoat. Like, I'm done with that. And so how do I get to, really honor that role and those lessons that I've learned through those roles. And like that victim and that scapegoat and that martyr and that savior. Yeah. And so I have this old, like, kind of almost trench coat that was given to me, and it was a little bit too large for me, so I never wore it. But it was so cool, actually, that I just held on to it because I thought maybe for a costume, or it could probably be modified or something. But I'm actually going to turn it into art, and it is going to be my scapegoat. And there are all of these words that I wrote down a couple months ago that I felt like, yeah, those are the labels that I'm no longer agreeing to, and I'm no longer identifying with that. I'm no longer going to agree to that, because those have been projected onto me, and I've carried those with me, and I'm ready to let those go now. And so, yeah, my idea is it's a black trench coat, and it's going to be colored, like I have all this fabric paint, and I'm going to write all those labels down on that coat with this fabric paint. And like the largest part of it is going to be, the center part of it on the back. And it's going to be written in yellow for some reason. That's just my vision right now. And it's going to have subhuman written on it with all these other labels, like the better and lesser than, divided, comparison, like rejected aspects of ourselves that we've suppressed and denied and oppressed. And yeah, that's the disaster, like, that we're seeing now, like coming out, playing out, like through like this misdirected energy and this pain body, that's connected to distortions and the distortions of our minds, so yeah. So just, like thinking and intuiting, considering like all these creative possibilities and being willing to see what I haven't allowed myself to see or been able to see. So maybe it is time to look at or look into Neptune more deeply and the addictions, the replacements, the surrogates, and misdirected energy at play. There were some great questions for me to ask and look into. Oh my gosh, those were, and I probably will go over some of those, and they were amazing, just a few of those. So I'm also seeing life, the web, the world, me and we as an interconnected, indivisible whole, and every single individual part is related to the whole. Things are not at all what they seem or appear to be. We must clear our old distortions and our old core beliefs that have overwritten or overridden or been overlaid and imprinted on our psyches, disconnecting us from our true nature and our love always. We all hold each other, and we are all held through holding our whole selves. We are all held, and we all hold all we are. Let go of the illusion of separation and know that we are all interconnected, related, and whole, transmuting the lead, the unconscious energy, into gold. Consciousness. Transforming the ego, liberating the soul, transmuting the poison, healing, becoming whole, synthesizing the antidote through the self-realization that we are all whole parts of the one true full whole. There is no separation, only individual parts of the great oversoul. Moving and operating through multiple cycles of creation, destruction, renewal, and growth, finding ourselves through our journey home, remembering, forgetting, discovering home, deeply listening, perceiving, expanding, aho, clearing and cleansing, removing obstacles, rising to meet ourselves and new challenges, devoted and committed to being the one true full whole, the love that we are, the love we can be, the creators we are, the creations we see, creators becoming through all that we be, creating our being through divine creativity, conscious awareness and loving intent, creative imagination and clear present attention, focused direction, trust, faith, connection, cooperation with the mundane and divine aspects of life through our own bodies, energy, minds, feelings, thoughts, and intentions, our own choices and lives. Relationships and reflections of our inner eye, our inner world projected outside. And that's, what I have written today so far. And some of these questions, I will go over. That this peace, this thing about peace today feels like it wants to be shared. And to be at peace with what is and what's been and what will be. My prayers for inner peace join with all collective prayers to form a global web of peace. Our prayers and intentions transform hatred into love, fear into peace, and intolerance into empathy. Together with these loving prayers, we can manifest world peace. And that was just from a candle, a peace votive candle that I bought at Dancing Crane. It's from Coventry Creations Incorporated in 2008. So that was just a little message that I had saved, and it was in my treasure box of keepsakes. Just got to go through and find. And also, this was something I found, some words that I got to speak at my grandpa Ted's funeral or memorial service many, many, many years ago. And my dad had selected these words by Khalil Gibran on death. And so this was interesting for me to find yesterday, actually. Like, there was another box that I had overlooked. And I found this yesterday, and I was feeling like a lot of resistance when I was almost done. Like, I was so motivated, like, to tackle the whole thing. And then, like, when I was just, like, there was only, like, this little bit done, I just kind of felt, like, a lot of resistance to it. And I just kind of felt, like, super tired and super drained. And then finally I was just like, okay, I'm just getting out of my own way. I'm just going to empty this out, and I'm just going to see what's here. And so, I went in there and just decided to take it one step at a time and to be right here. And I did, appreciate the next phase of that, that cleanup process. So, on death. Then Almitra spoke, saying, "We would ask now of death." And he said, "You would know the secret of death. But how shall you find it unless you seek it in the heart of life? The owl whose night-bound eyes are blind unto the day cannot unveil the mystery of light. If you would indeed behold the spirit of death, open your heart wide unto the body of life. For life and death are one, even as the river and the sea are one. In the depth of your hopes and desires lies your silent knowledge of the beyond, and like seeds dreaming beneath the snow, your heart dreams of spring. Trust the dreams, for in them is hidden the gate to eternity. Your fear of death is but the trembling of the shepherd when he stands before the king, whose hand is to be laid upon him in honor. In the shepherd is this shepherd not joyful beneath his trembling, that he shall wear the mark of the king? Yet is he not more mindful of his trembling? For what is it to die but to stand naked in the wind and to melt into the sun? And what is it to cease breathing but to free the breath from its restless tides, that it may rise and expand and seek God unencumbered? Only when you drink from the river of silence shall you indeed sing, and when you have reached the mountain top, then you shall begin to climb, and when the earth shall claim your limbs, then you shall truly dance. What the soul knows is often unknown to the man who has a soul. We are infinitely more than we think. And those are the words that I got to offer, like, for my grandpa's service, and that was many years ago. gosh, I don't even know how long ago that was, but it seems like it had to have been in the early 2000s. And so, yeah, I super appreciate finding that today. And also, like, something that was, like, really interesting for me to find. Really, this was, like, from a movie review, and I have no idea why I saved it, but it was from February 3rd, 2002. And I think it was from it was from the New York Times, actually. That's kind of funny. And by Thomas Cahill. And it's like, the one true faith, is it tolerance? And so that's actually been coming up a lot for me. Is like, yeah, our certain beliefs and our certain views. Yeah. And it's just very, very interesting. And I can draw the parallels from this to what is happening and occurring today. So once upon a time, there was a religion whose adherents thought it to be the only true one. And I can relate to this through my own experience in growing up in the Mormon church as well. So once upon a time, there was a religion whose adherents thought it to be the only true one, because their God wished everyone, or so they thought, to believe as they did. They felt justified in imposing their religion on others. Yeah, toward those who refused to bow to the true religion, these true believers took different tacks at different times. Sometimes they hemmed in the infidels, as they were called, with civil disabilities, limiting their license to practice their own religion, forcing them to listen to propaganda, and otherwise restricting their freedom. At other times, they became more aggressive, burning holy books, smashing sacred statues, and even engaging in wholesale slaughter of the infidels, men, women, and children, as if they were rats carrying plague. Interesting. So the religion is not Islam but Christianity, whose dark history of crusades, inquisitions, and pogroms lies not as far in the past as one might prefer to think. So yeah, I'm just going to leave it there, because that is so super interesting. That, yeah. It's so interesting that these same kind of distortions have been used to control humanity, like through this tyranny, slavery mentality. So, very interesting indeed. And this other thing that I found, religious transition questions from my dad. And because he's been doing that, facilitating a religious transition group for many, many years, and he's helped a lot of people. And I really admire and appreciate him, and that's a selfless service. And I know he's grown a lot through that. So this is very interesting to me to find these questions now, to ask a little bit about the background, and people who are interested in writing their own autobiography or writing their own memoirs or whatnot, sharing their own history. And so there's some prompts and things and questions here. And then talking about experiences that promoting belief. What were your experiences in family, church, and community, the positive experiences of authority in the church, and the positive experiences of promoting those beliefs in that experience, in that container, giving talks, rendering service, callings, romantic relationships. They may have experienced books or educational experiences that that were reinforcing the faith, prayer, spiritual experiences, or uncanny and mysterious events. Yeah. And then experiences promoting doubt or unbelief or disbelief, which is interesting as well. Were there early seeds of doubt lurking? Because that is interesting as we go through these transitions, and we do have that death of the ego, and we do let go of old things to make the space and make the room to expand and grow. And so it is interesting that this does relate. Experiences promoting doubt or disbelief, unbelief. Yeah. So were there early seeds of doubt lurking related to doctrines, practices, or even what were originally considered to be positive social interactions or positive institutions? Positive groups, positive, positive activities. Yeah. But maybe like the addictions that we have and substitutions or surrogates, like maybe in the beginning it was very nourishing, but then maybe it ceases to be after we outgrow that container or that box or the rigid control structures. Yeah. So, what were, the experiences promoting the doubt? So, originally considered to be positive social interactions, romantic relationships, contact or friendship with non-Mormons or non-believers, difficult experiences with authority. So maybe something that, does kind of show us, where we're giving our power away, or that it's not in harmony, with our true being. In social interactions, family, church, community, books or educational experiences, questioning the faith, are we even allowing ourselves to question our own faith, or to question our own beliefs, or to question what we're being told? Was there a dialogue, or was it the Sunstone magazine or symposium, or was it other independent forums? So further actions, were questions or doubts a source of guilt or conflict? Because that can be very uncomfortable, and we don't want to feel those things sometimes. We want to push that conflict away sometimes. We don't want to confront certain things. So at this stage, why did you pursue them? Did pursuing them cause any difficulty or conflict with family, friends, church, and community? Did pursuing questions initially produce any sense of satisfaction or excitement? What led you to the point that you were willing to leave your church home, or your belief, or your whole world of being, your old frame of reference? And as it got to that point, why did you simply not stay and hide your doubts or put them aside? And then the next page, or the next part, is building another life. What experiences or learning helped you form an alternative point of view? Contacts with other doubters or those in other faiths, books, courses, symposia, or other forums, other church meetings. How did that feel at first? Progress and comfort or dissatisfaction? Prayer, spiritual experiences, or uncanny or mysterious events? How did you deal with guilt or sense of social loss? And the current insights or position and effects of background and new faith, and the conclusion. Given what has happened, if you were given the chance, would you again choose to do things the same way? What advice would you give to someone in the midst of doubts or a possible transition? What values might be best served by staying in that belief? And what sacrifices would not be worth the cost? How could this process be made easier but still faithful to personal integrity and peace? So very interesting. So I think I had some things to investigate and excavate this week about, relating to that. So that was freaking awesome. And that just goes back into this Pluto transformation. And there's a quote here, Counterbalancing Pluto, by Stanislav Grof, which I thought was really cool as well. And I will just, read that. Wasn't planning on it, but here we are. So from drawing on countless experiences with patients, pioneer in LSD psychotherapy, Stanislav Grof describes the quintessential Pluto experience. Paradoxically, while only a small step from an experience of phenomenal liberation, the individual has a feeling of impending catastrophe of enormous proportions. This frequently results in a desperate and determined struggle to stop the process. The transition involves a sense of annihilation on all levels: physical destruction, emotional disaster, intellectual and philosophical default, ultimate moral failure, and absolute damnation of transcendental proportions. This experience of ego death seems to entail an instant, merciless destruction of all previous referent points in the life of the individual. By Stanislav Grof there. Mercifully, every Pluto transit does not plunge us into these depths, but the potential is always there. Even at lesser intensity, Pluto stirs deep emotion. It uncovers all you have hidden, secreted away in your unconscious, and demands that you come to terms with your inner nature. Pluto is worthy of respect, even fear, but remember that like Kali, the Hindu goddess of destruction, Pluto destroys only to recreate. Essential to managing the difficult Pluto aspect is that you acknowledge your need for fundamental change. Thus, counterbalancing techniques are not the ultimate answer, but since in Pluto's grasp we are likely to petition for any form of relief, I should at least offer what has been proved of some use. So the Saturnian grounding techniques offered above for Neptune seem to help drain away Pluto's excess energy. Try them. Since our physiological system is stirred and heated to excess with Pluto, also try to enlist Saturn by eating cooling foods. Stay away from heavy metals and spices that stimulate the Mars-Pluto chakra, and consider fasting. Settling your digestive system may bring some relief from the turmoil. And that's actually what I did do the other day, was I decided I don't feel like eating today, and I'm just gonna. And so like that I did have to do. That was the same day that I read about alligator medicine and digesting all of life's experiences. And that's actually when I had that confrontation, that day that I had that confrontation come up as well. So it's kind of funny, all of these different synchronicities. And yeah, this like a reflection of my inner process, like, and it's just so funny, like really this help and this support and like all these tools and resources I have available if I just ask, for help and assistance, and believe I can receive it, and I'm open to receive all this for my whole self. So consider fasting. Settling your digestive system may bring some relief from the turmoil. When Pluto visits, we are seldom easy company for others. Our feelings are so deep and so intense that we have much trouble conveying them, and we are as likely to lash out as to plead for understanding. So that is so funny. So just when we are most in need of support, we seem least likely to get it. This is the time to draw upon that source of love within. Stimulate your Venus chakra. By intensely focusing on love, gentleness, and compassion for yourself and others, you can rob Pluto of some of its force. Love yourself. Find ways to be good to yourself and give yourself pleasure. Eat a favorite dish. If there's a hot tub around, lounge in it. If you are lonely, get on the phone to those you love and tell them that you care. Love is the gift that always returns to the giver. Honor your need for warmth and touch. Wrap up in a blanket or your old fur coat and sit by the fire, or get a weekly massage from someone with a loving nature. Self-love often requires forgiveness of yourself and others. Yoga offers a forgiveness mantra that I have often used to lighten Pluto's load. Hi Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. That's interesting. There it is, Ram again. Yeah. Hi as in hey, Jai as in sky, the A in Ram like father. When Gandhi was assassinated, these were the last words he spoke. In essence, he was saying, I forgive this act. For your own self-forgiveness or to forgive others, chant the mantra in a steady monotone, allowing the sound to entrance you. Continue the chant for an hour or more if needed. Your feelings will guide the decision. On especially intense days, you may silently continue to the chant throughout the day, continuously releasing anger and frustration and opening up to the peace and love of Venus. I found no better tool for counterbalancing Pluto. So that is so interesting. And there is another part that I haven't read yet. It's called Experiencing and Transmuting Pluto. Pluto penetrates into every level of mind, shifting and breaking up calcified layers of consciousness. Thus, Pluto aspects signal optimum times for efforts at self-transformation. You will benefit especially from metaphysical study or spiritual practice such as yoga, tantra, self-hypnosis, meditation, past life regression, and from psychological work such as Jungian dream analysis, psychodrama, body work, bioenergetics, Rolfing, or other mind-body therapy. With a qualified guide, you might try this simple but powerful method. And then she goes into a suggestion. And I think I'll just leave it there. But I do want to share a few of these questions to consider. And I thought they were really interesting. So I will start with Saturn and Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. So these questions relate to Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. So Saturn, what are my greatest strengths? And what are my particular responsibilities right now? What attitude do I have toward them? What are the traits that I fear, judge, dislike about myself? What are the traits that I fear, judge, and dislike in others? In what areas of my life do I feel secure and stable? What am I currently struggling with? Is it from within or without? What does the struggle look like? Name it. Can I see a way to solve my problem? What can I do differently that might have made the situation change for the better? So those are Saturn questions. Now, Uranus questions. Against what ideas, people have I rebelled in my life? Are there things I like that others consider strange? Are there things I like that others consider strange? What groups am I involved with? Am I actively involved or on the periphery? So, Uranus questions. Neptune questions. What genuinely inspires me? What areas of my life do I suspect I am not seeing clearly? Am I holding any illusions now about my life or anyone in it? And to what am I addicted? Does it have repercussions in my life or the lives of others? And those were the Neptune questions. These are the Pluto questions. What are my greatest inner resources? Are there any problems in my life that I am suppressing or that are crying out to be transformed? What resources do I have within, without, to help me change? Is there anything or anyone I intensely hate? Why? Is there anyone in my life I still need to learn to forgive? What does the transforming healer within me look like? Is there something I have done for which I still need to learn to forgive myself? Any one of these approaches will give you a wealth of ways to reflect upon yourself in the mirror of astrology. And most important, you will be learning from experience, your best teacher. So, I thought that was freaking amazing and great. Good questions to contemplate and investigate, to excavate. Yeah, to transmute and transform and integrate. So thanks for listening. I hope you're well and taking good care of yourself, being love for yourself, and freeing yourself, holding yourself, loving yourself, and allowing yourself. All right. I'll talk to you again next time. Bye for now. Love y'all. We'll see ya. Ciao, ciao.